I judged this die set way too quickly and thought it really isn't my style. Then I took a closer look when I got it and saw so many possibilities. And I want to show you some ways I use this die set so I'm getting the most use out of my supplies. So let's get into it. Instead of using this die set as it was intended, I decided to look at each shape, and this die set has some amazing larger shapes that I wanted to use as focal points. I decided to use my gel plate and some oxide inks to add color to them. The first color was Fossilized Amber, this one is Festive Berries, and this last one is Faded Jeans. Once I have my colors down, I like to go in with a 6-inch brayer to blend my colors together. I move the brayer slightly side to side to ensure a nice blend. I'm going to add some texture by lifting up some of that ink with a stamp. I am going to add the large heart die from the new Sizzix Abstract Faces die set from Tim Holtz, and I'm going to pick up some of that color. I do want a more vibrant shape, so I am going to take the brayer that still has a ton of ink left on it and lay down some more color. I am going to add the heart shape back to the gel plate about where I put it before and pick up some more of that color. And of course, the more layers you add, the more vibrant the colors will be. I am going to set the heart aside and I will show you how I use it later on in the video, so stay with me. But first I'm going to use more of that ink left on the brayer and add it to the gel plate. And I want to show you just one way I am going to be using those squiggly bits in the die set. I place them randomly on the gel plate. Then I'm going to take a piece of cardstock and add it to the gel plate over the die cuts, and I'm going to use my brayer to press the paper into the ink. I'm going to pull the print up and you are left with some cool designs on your paper, and all of those squiggly bits that you put onto the gel plate are now full of color, and I will be using those later on in the video for a card. I don't want to waste any of that ink, so I'm going to do one more pull, and this one is a little bit more subtle, but the design is still really cool. Before I share how I used that large heart die from earlier, I want to show you how I use some of the dies on some ATCs. I cut down an already made background to ATC size, and there's probably no surprise that I chose the squiggly dies to work with, and I'm going to spray them with some distress spray. Now I'm going to add some Versamark ink to the die cuts. This is a really sticky ink, and I'm going to be putting some embossing powder on top of the die cuts. The embossing powder I'm using is from Tim Holtz. It's the Frosted Crystal embossing powder. I'm going to take my heat tool now and melt that embossing powder. I'm going to add some stamping to a few of the die cuts from the Abstract Faces set and then arrange them on my ATCs. Once I have them where I want them, I'm going to bring them over to my sewing machine and add even more texture and interest. I add some of the new Remnant rubs from Tim Holtz randomly onto the ATCs. These little extra details add so much to mixed media projects. And no project is complete without some white splatters, and I'm going to set those aside to dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to take that heart die cut that I gel printed on earlier, and I'm going to assemble my card. I added a few other shapes and stitched them together, and I'm going to adhere it to my card panel that I had embossed. I add a sentiment and this card is complete. If you want to learn even more mixed media techniques, be sure to check out this live replay where I break down the process into easy, manageable steps I know you can do. See you there.